for me, it's like a vehicle. It gets me from A to B. Okay, like if I want to go from, I don't know, London to New York, I'm going to get on a plane. I'm not super passionate about a plane, but it's still going to get me there, right? So I've got these goals in life, and everyone has their own goals in life. And two things that connect every person's goals around the world is that they need time and they need money. Time or money. Time, money, or both, okay? For mine, I personally need money as well, and that is kind of why I trade, because I need the money to kind of buy back the time, because money buys time, money buys options, so that you can focus on the things that matter to you in life.
You're doing very well in trading.
Yeah, I'm not doing too badly. Not doing too badly at all.
How old are you now?
Right now?
Yeah.
I'm going to be 22 in 4 days.
Oh my God. That's very young.
So, yeah.
Nice. And I saw that you were in your last year at Imperial College. You're still going to college?
So Imperial College London is like a university. It's like the it's like the third best university in England. So it's not college, but it's university.
Yeah. And you've been trading while going to university all this time.
Pretty much. I started around about 2.5 years ago, actually. I saw a friend on Instagram, and I was watching his stories on Instagram, and basically he was making consistent profit every single day, just on his phone. So I was really curious, because at the time I didn't really know what it was about. Because for me, I come from a biology background, so I studied biology at Imperial for the last 3 years, and for me, trading and all this economic stuff was very, very new to me. And then for me, I'm someone who kind of takes advice from people that I want to swap positions with. So, for example, if I want to learn how to make $1 million, I'd ask a millionaire, right? I wouldn't ask someone who's broke. If I want good relationship advice, I'd ask from someone who has good relationship. I wouldn't ask someone who's single all his life. So for me, the reason why I went to him was because he had the knowledge that I wanted. So I was like, you know what, this person could help me, get to where I want to be financially. So yeah, that's kind of how I got involved.
That's only been 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, it was about 2.5 years ago, yeah.
And now you have a managed fund with a $50,000 minimum deposit?
No. So the company is called Melius. Is a company I actually work alongside. And one of the things that they provide alongside with Forex education is basically funded accounts, because they realize that one of the reasons for why a lot of traders fail is not due to, for number one, yes, it might be due to lack of knowledge, like not being able to manage risk and all that kind of stuff. But number two is more kind of emotions, because a lot of people come into this industry with the intention of this, obviously, making money. No one comes into Forex because they love looking at charts all the time. Some people do. But most people, they see the money and they chase the money, right? Most people anyway. At least for me, that was kind of what incentivized me to want to learn more about it. And they come with the expectation of being able to make, I don't know, £500, £1,000 on a day-to-day basis. And that might be possible on like $100,000, for example. You can make a 1% return and that'll be 1,000. Or you can make £500 and that'll be 0.5% return. But most people, when they come into the industry and after they've learned, they don't have £100,000 to just deposit into a trading account, right? They probably have about 500, maybe 1,000, maybe 5,000, and they're expecting to make £1,000 return on a £1,000 account in a day. Don't get me wrong, it's possible, but is it sustainable? That's a different question. And for me, it's all more about sustainability than just kind of becoming rich overnight, because that just doesn't happen.
Well, it sounds like you learned some things right away that were working for you. Did you have to go through a period where you learned some things that weren't working for you, that you had to struggle, or it came pretty quickly?
100%. As I said, I come from a biology background. So when my mentor introduced me to Forex, I literally turned around and asked him this question: "What game is Forex?" I've never heard of it. Like me trying to read charts at the time was like me trying to read Arabic, okay? And I don't read Arabic. So I started off from literally nothing. Okay, I didn't know what Forex was. I didn't know what they do. I didn't know what the market did. And I started off by learning from our platform, basically. It taught me the basics. It was like, cool, this is what Forex is. You trade things. I'm like, wow, okay, cool. Yeah, I trade things as well. I trade time for money, and then they say, okay, cool, this is support, this is resistance. And I'm like, cool, cool, cool. And then eventually I learned enough to basically analyze the markets. And I started trading live. I was like, cool, I'm excited. Let's make some money now. And I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. I blew multiple accounts due to either bad risk management, over leveraging, over trading, not having even a trading plan. Actually, I didn't even have a trading plan. I just had a strategy, but I didn't have a plan. So yeah, I did make a lot of mistakes, and obviously I learned from every single one of them, because every time you lose money in the markets, every time you lose a trade, it's like you're paying a tuition fee to the market. Okay. And when you pay a tuition fee, like if you go to university, you pay a fee of £9,500, you expect to learn something from it, right? You don't just pay it aimlessly without getting anything back from it. So for me, every trade I lose, it's like a lesson. It's like, cool. I'm paying a tuition fee, basically. And at the beginning, I used to always think, oh yeah, the market is out to get me. The market's working against me, all that kind of stuff. And I truly don't believe a $6 trillion market is out here to, trade against me. That's very naive. But,
yeah, it's not actually trading against you, but people do believe that sometimes. It seems like it, they're out to get you.
You do learn in like some things in school, but a lot of it you don't really need to. You learn it once and you're not going to use it ever again, basically. Yes, you learn social skills. Yes, you learn how to build relationships with people. That's important. But in terms of differentiation and integration, like that's something people don't really need to do with the advancement of technology, right? Like you slap into a calculator, it's done. And I'm not sure how much you know about the cryptocurrency industry, but every single year they have an annual blockchain summit held in Malta. And Jeremy Presetti is actually a keynote speaker at that event. And I know that because I'm quite into crypto and blockchain and all that kind of stuff.
Do you trade cryptocurrency as well as Forex?
No, I don't trade it. I just kind of hold it, buy and hold. I mean, yes, it's a financial market, but it's not regulated enough so that, it operates in the same way. For me anyway, it's very difficult for me to analyze it. I haven't really had that much success. I did try it once or twice. Didn't really work out that well. Maybe I could give it a go in future when the market's more regulated. But right now, I'm just kind of sticking to what I'm good at.
That's excellent. And that's really extraordinary for somebody your age to be trading so well. And I really got to commend you for hanging in there for only 2.5 years, though. I mean,
I still got a long way to go. But I think everyone does. It doesn't matter if you've been trading 10, 20, 30 years. Like, you can't know everything.
Yeah.
You can't. You're not going to have a 100% win rate. There's always things you can be better at doing. Like we're humans at the end of the day. We're going to make mistakes. It doesn't matter how solid our trading plan is. Maybe even for a slight millisecond, we might have that kind of desire to just kind of put on an extra lot size. It's like, you know what, I could put this on and just make a little bit extra money, and then I can afford this house or something like that. It's not we're human. And until you for me, mastering trading is really mastering yourself. It's mastery of yourself, mastery of your emotions.
Exactly. Yeah. Did you have to go through a period of time where you had to work on your psychology and your programming, your subconscious minds?
I'd say it was something that I was doing even before trading. So for the last 3-4 years, I've been involved in the network marketing industry. And one aspect of the network marketing industry is that, personal development is very, very important, basically. One of the first books I read was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And that caused a massive paradigm shift for me personally. It changed not only the way I saw, the way I interacted with money, but the way I saw kind of life itself, what is truly valuable to me as a person. I learned that so many people in this world, especially in the West, okay? You're based in the States, right? And I'm based in the UK. In the West, we have this kind of like philosophy almost driven into us that, you know, to be successful, to be happy, you need to have, you need to go to good school, you need to get good grades, you need to go to good university, then you need to get good grades, then you need to get a good job, you need to buy a big house, big car, all that kind of stuff. And I look every day on the tube. Okay, I sit on the tube a lot, when I'm commuting to university or commuting to the office or whatever, and I see a lot of people. Okay, on the tube, everyone's doing something different. Some people might be reading a newspaper, some people might be texting on their phone, some people might be reading a book, something like that. But they all got one thing on their face. One thing in common. Okay, they all got a massive frown on their face. And for me, I know one thing for certain is that your external is a reflection of your internal. You know, if you're not satisfied internally, you're gonna express negativity like outside. You know, your energy is just people get bad vibes from you, basically, right? You can sit next to someone who's really depressed, and you can just feel the negative energy like kind of seeping into your skin, like literally seeping through the pores of your skin. You know, and I've been to also some of the poorest places in the world. Okay, I lived in I did marine conservation in an island in Indonesia where people literally had nothing. And I'm saying there's no electricity, there was no signal, like phone signal, there was no running water, there was nothing. Like there wasn't even a proper bed, okay? Yet the people that I lived amongst were some of the happiest people in the world, and they probably had maybe 1/100th of what the average Londoner has. They don't have a big house, they don't have a big car, well, they don't even have a need for a car, and they definitely don't have like a high-paying job. Yet they are so much more satisfied with life, you know? And that just kind of shows. You know, in life, it doesn't matter if you die broke. It doesn't matter if you die millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire. What matters is, it doesn't matter if you die like millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire. But what matters is the kind of impact that you had, you know, on the world and the purpose and meaning you had on a day-to-day basis. Like that, for me, and I believe for most people, would give them so much more satisfaction in life. You know, people are so busy off the money, but they're losing the sense of humanity. You know.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
And that's excellent. And so I assume that you have kind of a vision for what you want to do with money and how you want to help people in the world, things like that too.
100%. Would you like me to share those?
Oh, sure.
Number one, I do want to come back to this topic of the Philippines because some of my closest friends are from there, actually, from Manila, from Siargao. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Siargao?
Yeah, Siargao, yeah. And like Cebu and all those kind of places. And I actually got a friend who owns one of the islands in the Philippines. I can't remember his name. His name is John. He owns, Sikajor?
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, it's quite a remote island. You probably would have heard of it too much. Anyway, so yeah, I got 5 goals, and 5 goals only in life. Okay, number one, I want to travel the world. So far, I've been to about 70 countries. And the reason why is not just kind of like, oh, I want to kind of see things. For me, I want to travel the world is because I want to understand, like, culture. I want to understand, like, the way people do things. I want to understand why people do things. Like, for me, that's interesting because, like, you can sit someone down, okay, from the UK, for example, okay, who's never visited any country outside of the UK. And you can sit down someone from maybe the Philippines that has never traveled outside the Philippines before on opposite sides of the table, okay, and they'll have a conversation. Let's say they both spoke English, okay. They can have a conversation, and they'll be talking about X, Y, and Z. And at some point, okay, they're going to come across kind of a crossroads, you know, where one person is really kind of firm in one decision. It's like, hey, I am right about this, and then the other person can be like, no, you're wrong, I'm right about this. Okay, it might be arguing over the most stupid things. I don't know what it is, okay, but the truth is neither is more right than the other, and neither is more wrong than the other. It's just they're just different, you know. And conflict comes from the inability to understand those differences for what they are. You know, just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just a different perspective to your own, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, to be able to understand kind of people from different perspectives, from different cultures, like different languages, all that kind of stuff, that for me is like kind of what I seek to do. I seek to understand.
Excellent.
That's goal number one. Goal number two, I want to retire my parents. I mean, that's a very, very cliche goal, I know. And a lot of people have that kind of goal. You know, a lot of people, especially in Asian culture, they do have that goal. Maybe even some people from the West as well. And my question to them is, you know, if you can't retire yourself, how can you retire your parents? Like two fully grown adults, you know, unless you're retiring them on like super noodles and pasta. Like you're not going to retire them on much. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, you know, my parents have worked in a corporate world for pretty much all their life, you know. And as a result, I never really got to spend much time with them. I never really have like kind of a deep relationship with them. Like literally when I go home to visit them every now and then, there's not really much to say, you know. And I mean, that's not something.
Not from London.
So we live in Kent. I'm not sure if you know where Kent is. It's like southeast England.
Oh yeah.
So we own like a restaurant there. It's a Chinese restaurant. It's like the biggest one in southeast England, actually.
Oh, nice.
And as a result, they basically work super, super hard. And they just never really had the time to kind of spend with me or kind of connect to me much, you know. And that's fine because, you know, I can understand why. They obviously had to work so I can live, you know, so I could have the life that I do have now. But at the same time, you know, if I can retire them, then I still have the time to kind of reconnect with them on that level. You know, that's something I didn't have earlier on. So that's goal number 2, retiring parents. And then goal number 3 is I want to start marine preservation in Bali. So it's marine preservation, not marine conservation, because it's much easier to actively preserve something that is still nice and healthy as opposed to conserve something that's dying. Hence why the background in biology. In Bali, yeah. So it's more specifically in the Coral Triangle, actually, because I'm a dive master. And the first place I learned to dive in the world is actually in Indonesia, where I spent that time on the island.
Oh, wow. I went to Indonesia and Bali a few years ago. And I went to Borobudur Temple.
Did you like it?
Oh, yeah, it was wonderful. And then went to Bali. It's very nice.
Yeah.
It's a little bit crowded with tourists, but it was very nice.
I mean, it's not specific Bali, actually. It's more just kind of like the Coral Triangle itself. I want to set up a marine preservation NGO to kind of preserve the Coral Triangle. So that includes the Philippines, that includes Indonesia and stuff like that.
And that's your field of study is marine biology then, huh?
No, so it's more general biology, but it does encompass some marine biology side. So I've done some conservation trips around the world, and I have a general idea of how it works. I still obviously need to learn a lot more. And that is kind of why I want to go to Indonesia and move there for maybe a couple of years to kind of get the connections, find like-minded individuals to obviously do this together.
It's good you did stick with your education, but I remember Robert Kiyosaki saying that entrepreneurs, they could just quit school and start a business, and then by the time their colleagues were graduating, they could hire their colleagues.
Yeah, it's true. 100%, you know. But for me, I study not just for kind of I chose this degree actually not because I want a job out of it, but because I'm genuinely interested in biology. It's something that I'm just curious about. I mean, I'm actually considering to start to do a master's in Germany next year to learn either about philosophy, psychology, or neuroscience. Not because I want to go into any of those fields, but just because I want to know more in depth about those fields. You know?
Nice.
It's kind of like I travel the world, not because I can tell people that I travel the world, but because I want to understand different things. You know, and life for me is just a journey of learning, discovering, growing. You know, in all aspects. So like most people, you're right. You know, people do go and go to these degrees and take these diplomas to increase their job prospects. But for me, it's more to increase my knowledge.
Nice. So as far as trading, it just keeps on getting better for you, and you see consistent increase.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Like trading, yes, it makes me money, but it's not something I'm like, wow, you know, like super, super, super passionate about. For me, it's like a vehicle. You know, it gets me from A to B. Okay, like if I want to go from, I don't know, London to New York, I'm going to get on a plane. I'm not super passionate about a plane, but it's still going to get me there, right? So I've got these goals in life, and everyone has their own goals in life. And two things that connect every person's goals around the world is that they need time and they need money. Time or money. Time, money, or both, okay? For mine, I personally need money as well, you know? And that is kind of why I trade. Because I need the money to kind of buy back the time. Because money buys time, money buys options, so that you can focus on the things that matter to you in life. You know, like those 5 things. Well, I actually highlighted 3 things, but there are 2 more. Those 5 things for me, they're what matter to me in life, and money and time is like what I need to get there. You know, so it's kind of like my airplane.
Absolutely. I mean, who's totally passionate about charts and anything? It's mainly the exchange, the increase in capital, and what it can do for your life.
Yeah. It's like a tool. It's a means to an end. You know, as I said, like we're all going to come to that point in our life where we do end up in a hole in the floor, and we can't take money with us. We can't take anything with us. We can only leave things behind. You know, we can either choose to leave behind, I don't know, a few £1,000s or dollars, or you can choose to leave behind a legacy, an impact, a change. That is for every person to decide what they want to do. For me, this is what I decided for myself. Other people might decide for something else. And it takes all kinds of people to make the world go round. Not everyone can be traders. Not everyone can be entrepreneurs. We need people like social workers to keep people off the streets. We need people like bin men to keep the streets clean. We need all kinds of people. So. Yeah.
Well, you sound like such a focused young man to have done all this stuff in such a short amount of time.
Thank you very much.
To be able to be going to school, getting your education, trading, doing entrepreneur work, taking care of your family and everything. So you're going to be graduating soon, right?
Yeah. I got my exams coming up in a couple of weeks, and then I got a final year project, and then I'm done. Yeah, so a few months, a couple of months.
What do you have planned after that?
So in summer, I'm going to be spending 1 month in China. I'm doing volunteering there, so I'm teaching English to little kids, like 6-7-year-olds. And these are the kids that don't have parents that are wealthy enough to kind of pay for us to go there. Like it's all volunteering, so we pay for us. I pay out of my own pocket, and it's going to kind of give opportunities to those children that really can't afford it at all. And that was kind of actually one of my goals in life. So goal number 4 is to kind of go to poor places in Africa and Southeast Asia or rest of Asia, I don't know, and kind of build schools, build houses, and teach English to children that just don't have the opportunity.
Oh, nice. That sounds wonderful.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think I'm going to create massive change in the world. It's something like, I don't know, a movement like, I don't know, was it Martin Luther King? I don't think I'm that kind of guy, but I believe we can play our part.
Yeah.
It might be small, but it's still our part nonetheless.
Yeah, we can all contribute something to the world, even if it's a simple thing.
100%. Like no one ever became poor by giving. That's a fact. So there are loads of different forms of self-expression in the world, right? So you've got philosophy, which is self-expression with your own thoughts. You've got, you could be an author. You can put your thoughts onto paper. You could be a musician. You could be into dance. You could be into art, painting, all this kind of stuff, right? And one of the reasons why a lot of people don't kind of pursue these different forms of self-expression is that because unless you're in like kind of the top percentage, unless you're like Ed Sheeran or the Beatles or someone super successful and super famous, you're not going to make much money out of it, right? So I believe that is kind of one deterrent for why a lot of people don't kind of pursue these things. But given that the world was, given that people had more time and both kind of financial freedom in the sense that, they could pursue these things regardless of whether or not they were successful at it, right? So people just kind of like pursued all these different forms of self-expression, whatever they have a natural affinity to. For me, it's more kind of like philosophy, okay? Because I'm quite lazy. I don't like to draw. I don't like to write books. I just like to think, okay? I like to talk to people. But given that people had the opportunity to just kind of explore down these paths with no kind of worry or stress in regards to like money and all these kind of things, like I wonder how the world would be different, because like what is innovation? Innovation is is a form of self-expression, right? And innovation is what drives the world forward, So given that more and more people had the freedom to kind of pursue all these different forms of self-expression, how would the world today be like?
A lot of interesting things to think about these days, and how the world could be different, what you could contribute to make the world different.
I mean, we believe like right now, we think like the internet, the laptop, the phone is like kind of amazing, insane creations, right? And they are. But what if something of that magnitude was also created, but like something, I mean, obviously I don't know what it would be, but like something of that kind of impact on our lives was created. Yeah. What would it be? What could it be? You know, I don't know. So many interesting thoughts.
It's very interesting because young people don't realize, but man, it was not that long ago when people didn't have cell phones. They didn't have computers. That was fairly recent.
Right.
And it just all happened really fast.
Right. And imagine if the cell phone wasn't created. Imagine if the laptop wasn't created, nor was internet. All these kind of things weren't discovered or innovated or whatever. Like something else would have been. And I'm kind of thinking, what is that? What could have been that something else?
Not very many people are able to get good results in trading. It's just kind of rare.
It's true. It's true. You know, like there are, I mean, 90% of retail traders lose money. You know, the 10% are those who are literally crazy enough to just keep failing and failing and failing and failing and weeding out every single mistake, weeding out every single bad habit one at a time, you know, until we get to the point where they are consistent, until they get to the point where they are profitable, you know. But so many people are, you know, lose a few trades, they blow an account or something, and they lose a bit of money, and then that deters them. To me, that's crazy because so many people are willing to part with time, yet so unwilling to part with money. And money, if you lose it, you can make it back. Time, you lost it. What can you do? Nothing. You know.